The Super Bowl taking place over the weekend was a strange one. The game itself was absolute crap. Nothing really on field was all that spectacular. Like even, Saquon Barkley, okay, but he didn't even break 100 yards. I guess Mahomes imploding, Travis Kelce crying his way off the field, and Jalen Hurts scoring 3 touchdowns. Like, that's about the only notable stuff. Like, outside of the obvious score discrepancy, which really didn't even tell how badly Philadelphia beat the brakes off of the 2-time defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. It's like, it was a very strange game because it's already just kind of disappeared from the zeitgeist. Like, there wasn't really anything to really continue the conversation. Everything that people are talking about right now is some of the quote-unquote controversy, but all of that stuff's really going to be gone by the weekend. Like, it's a strange one, right? Because these are 2 of the premier teams in the league, but it's just... I don't think anybody really got excited about this. Maybe if the game was a little bit better, or maybe I'm just completely out of this. Okay, maybe this is the biggest thing ever, and I'm just not seeing the hype around it. But yes, the Eagles, a domination ekes past last year's nail biter to set the viewership record. Yeah, it got a huge number, and it's kind of crazy where most of the views came from. Okay, because Philadelphia Eagles left the Caesars Superdome victorious Sunday night. I hate the name. Okay, it was the Mercedes Superdome for a long time. What was it before that? But when it was just the Louisiana Superdome, it's like, that's always the best. It's like, I despise all of these corporate name changes on arenas and stadiums. I always think that they're cringe, okay? Wrigley Field, Fenway Park, Yankee Stadium. Like, that's always just going to be iconic. Blue Jays play at the Skydome. They don't play at Rogers Center. Toronto Maple Leafs play at Maple Leaf Gardens, and they don't play at whatever the hell the old Air Canada Center is called. Now, is it Scotiabank Center? I don't know, man. Like, it's all just aids. And I was also trying to think about, it's like, when was the last time I actually sat down and engaged with the Super Bowl proper? When was the last time I even watched from the first kickoff until the final snap? When was the last time I sat down and watched a football game? And it was probably the last Super Bowl that was held at the Superdome in 2013, and I look over and it's like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, when the Ravens won last time, and I got a fully signed helmet from them, and it's like one of my prized possessions that I just look over at every once in a while, and it's like I surround myself with greatness, okay, just to try to inspire an air of confidence with everything that's around it. I got to show it off at some point in time, but there's so much stuff that's in this area that I can't even put on screen properly. All you see is a couple of things in the background, I guess, but as much as you can see, the Ronnie Lott picture that's there. I like football. It's just watching it has been a long time, okay, because that was Super Bowl 2013, right? So it's been a minute since I've sat down and actually watched a game, and I've seen bits and pieces of it, obviously, through there. But the sport is wildly popular. It's just it's a much different game, and not really one that I resonate with, but apparently I'm in the hyper minority. A Super Bowl 59 attracted 126 million viewers across Forks. Forks? What's Forks? Fox Deportes, Tubi TV, and Telemundo. Really on Tubi? Huh? That's interesting. And NFL digital properties. Final data will be available Tuesday, and this post will be updated. Oh yeah, okay. You guys are seeing this video on Tuesday. Chances are the final data is going to be out, but it's only going to go up from here, which is just, it's really going to make the cultural conversation about everything that happened in regards to the Super Bowl, using the Super Bowl as a platform to springboard the conversation even more interesting, I suppose. That makes it the 3rd consecutive Super Bowl to hit a record high audience. Not only is the most watched Super Bowl of all time, and now it takes a crown from last year's big game as the 2nd most watched TV program after the Apollo moon landing. Which, yeah, I don't even think, like, if we land on Mars at any point in my lifetime, I don't think it's going to get more eyeballs than that. Like, that was a crazy period in time. And then you also think of how many fewer people had the ability to watch anything on TV. It's like cultural moments, significant moments like that. And at one point in time, right, like, especially in my lifetime, like the Super Bowl and the Oscars were very much that. And, well, the Oscars are coming up in the next couple of weeks, and it's going to be interesting to see those numbers because it was always neck and neck, especially when I was growing up, between the Super Bowl and the Oscars. But one has fallen off and the other one continues to go up, but within 24 hours, it's kind of all done and dusted. Super Bowl 59 was up 2.1% from last year's previous record of 123.4 million viewers. It's interesting how it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, but anyways, that's the final numbers, right? And up a 9.4 from 2023's audience of 115.1 million the last time that Fox hosted the game. Fox said Monday that the game peaked at 135.7 million viewers. Okay, yeah, just before the halftime show, which we're gonna touch on a little bit because that's, I guess, kind of driving some of the conversation. But what I found was interesting, right? Like, even with the numbers, 126 million average eyeballs, peaking at 135 million people, okay? Streaming generated 14.5 million average viewers, with Tubi responsible for 13.6 million. So that just lets you know, okay, that these ad-supported streaming services, that's going to be the future. We've seen the bubble burst, 700,000 fewer people in the United States signing up for Disney+. Netflix really being the only one turning a profit. So yeah, we're starting to see that ecosystem kind of galvanize and reformat around a certain foundation, but like 900,000 people across the other Fox digital platforms. That's very interesting how nobody's checking that stuff out, and how over, 100 million people are still checking it out on traditional network television. And that's really still the big driver when it comes to live sports coverage. But something else that was big at the time, like we were talking about the battle between, the Oscars and the Super Bowl for what was going to be the most viewed event of the year. Something else that always used to drive the conversation in the days afterwards were the Super Bowl commercials. And well, as somebody who talks about entertainment a fair amount, you would look towards the Super Bowl to really set up the entertainment side of things for the rest of the year. Like you would have, I remember, oh my God, what was it? I forget specifically which one it was, but I was sick the week of the Super Bowl when I was in school. I can't remember what year it was, but might have been Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. It was one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies that was coming out, and that was the big trailer that debuted during the Super Bowl. And hell, even more recent than that, like you would normally get all of the big studios coming out, debuting all of the big trailers, but there was only one movie. And even there's a big movie that Disney's really going to want to push coming out at the end of this week. So you would have thought, in order to get some sort of momentum for that pile of garbage, they would have put something out for it. But no, you had a Pfizer commercial, which people are responding well to in so much as it's a Pfizer commercial. Bud Light continuing to try to rehabilitate their reputation. And then you've got, a pro-Jesus one. Okay, well, that's cool. Rocket.com with one of the most pro-life ads you're likely to ever see. Another beer commercial with sloths, I guess. And then you got Duracell, mocking the Fox Sports announcing booth. Another beer commercial, but none of them really hitting like old beer commercials used to, because that was one of the things, right? Because wasn't it the Was Up campaign, or the old frogs, the Budweiser frogs, they would debut during the Super Bowl, and that would be a cultural moment. Like that would be a touchstone event that would last throughout the year. But yeah, you have Michelob Ultra, you got Bud Light, you got Coors Light doing all that stuff, but nobody's talking about them. And it's nice, right? Like you're not getting, total cringe out of those. That's obviously coming as well. But him and hers, okay, obesity and stuff like that. And you got Mountain Dew. And then you got this one right here, which is interesting, right? Because you got Harrison Ford and the American flag. And I guess that kind of ties in with what's going to be happening at the end of the week with Harrison Ford playing the president and the Red Hulk and all that stuff. But Jeep, instead of following the trend of the likes of, Jaguar, or eschewing their fan base and eschewing, their customers, Jeep is instead embracing the American backcountry, the American way of life, kind of what made them a staple brand to begin with. One of the three major brands for Daimler Chrysler. Like, very interesting. It's interesting to see where things are going, but obviously, I think probably the biggest commercial that's out there, Kanye West's very strange, hey, I'm in a dentist chair, go to Yeezy.com where you can go ahead and buy my one t-shirt that's still available. But it's crazy, right? Because there were other commercials that were on there that did harken back back to an earlier, more innocent time. Well, we don't really need any sort of sound for this, but Carl's Jr. is back, running the same thing that they used to, oh boy, like a decade and change ago with, was that Paris Hilton that was on top of the vehicle at that point in time? But now it's like, yeah, America is healing, because what, you got the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, fake titty girl hanging out with a cheeseburger. It's like, yeah, that's quintessentially American, right? And you know what? Hey, fantastic. Good for them. For the first time in like over a decade, they're doing something fun like that. And yeah, as Yellow Flash points out, America is healing. But then you also got the black girl taking on, in an athletic and endeavor, the entire, oh, look at that, that's Brad, he's the bad sports guy, and oh yeah, he gets beat by all of the diverse female athletes, and yeah, leave the past behind, right? And let's make girls a flag football a varsity sport in all 50 states. Yeah, because it's not like they could stand on their own merit. They had to have Big Daddy government come in and enshrine their right to have their own safe space. And the only time that anybody gives a shit about women's sports is when a bunch of B-level dudes come over and make it entertaining. It's very, very strange, huh? Keeping up with that same sentiment. I mean, think of the halftime show, what you will, like Kendrick Lamar, like, wasn't it Usher last year? It's like, wow, okay, tugging on the old nostalgia bone for somebody who, got famous by tugging something else. But I guess it was an edgy, safe choice as opposed to just kind of like a, family-friendly safe choice. What they've done in recent years, like this kind of appeals. This is more of a step in the right direction for the NFL to try to appeal to some of their customers. Like, I don't know a single Kendrick Lamar song. Okay, I like hip-hop, I like rap, I don't fuck with any of the new guys that are out there. It just all sounds like AIDS to me. They have their fans, obviously. It's just, realistically, like outside of seeing a couple of clips, I didn't hear whether or not it was a good halftime show, a bad halftime show. All I know is that there were some people that took certain offense to it, but what was big about this, okay, and like I said here up at the top, a bad night for Drake, obviously, because I know about that beef, okay, I know about the beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, don't know all the specifics, nor do I really care, because both of them, if they disappeared, I think the overall quality of the music landscape would improve if both of them, their just entire catalogs would just totally be done away with. But Taylor Swift, on the other hand, like, that's so. At one point in time, she was somewhat talented. I think she definitely has her niche. She definitely has her fans. They just, don't follow her to the ballot box the way that, she would have wanted to. And it's interesting how she was still at all of those, Chiefs games, which is, hey man, I got to give her credit on that one, because I would have thought after the spotlight dimmed off of her, after, Taylor mania that was going on with the Super Bowl and the NFL last year, she still, stuck around, and the NFL didn't quite focus on her as much, because I guess they probably seen the reaction of the Swifties last November and went, no, we don't need to, infuriate our fan base even more than we already have by focusing so much on her. But the moment that she got put on camera and showed with, look at all of the celebrities we have in the audience, Taylor Swift showed up, and somebody else who was also at the Super Bowl, okay, and I think this is very important to point out. You got Trump, okay, Trump turned up, he had his luxury suite at the Super Bowl, he was there, and he got a very warm response. A little delayed, though. And then, okay, then I want you to compare and contrast that with when Taylor Swift got shown on the Jumbotron, the screens that are there, whatever, okay? Just take a listen to this. What's going on? You can see her mouth. You can see her mouth. That's kind of crazy. It's like, and then a lot of people are asking, okay, what did Swift do again? Well, here's the thing. She's kind of the avatar. It's not anything she did personally, because yeah, she has cringy politics and shit like that. Like that, that's just part and parcel of being a celebrity. But in the past 6 months to a year, thanks a lot to that one guy on the left, which is about the first time you've ever heard that, but him exposing just, I think this has probably really come to a head with the Super Bowl once again, at least for the beginning of this year. Celebrities really don't matter, because you had, like I said at the beginning, two of the NFL's most premier teams, a lot of eyeballs are on it, but it's kind of gone. It's just nobody's talking about this. These super teams don't really generate any sort of lasting buzz. Like, they're popular in the moment, and then people are just on to the next thing. Taylor Swift, okay, she was overexposed. The football fan, even though the Super Bowl is very corporate and you get a whole bunch of, hand out tickets, so it's not really representative of the actual football fan at that event. But even still, that also lets you know that, people are just kind of done with celebrities, man. Okay, people are really done with these astroturfed avatars for society, which is also very interesting. Talking about people that are out of touch, Disney's The View on ABC declares the critics of the Super Bowl halftime show are motivated by evil. It's so nice that they took at least a little bit out of their day to not yell about how the orange man's bad and decide to have a bad take about something else. And we all agree that hating another person based on the color of their skin or origins of their ancestry is evil. Okay, almost every person who reads this article will no doubt agree with the foundational statement. In fact, I would dare say that the vast majority of Americans reading that original statement would concur in a second. Yeah, no, fair enough. You had the ladies on Disney's daytime talk show. Yes, because ABC is owned by Disney. That's the way that works, right? The View seemed to have no problem declaring that any critic of the Super Bowl halftime show from Sunday night is a person that harbors hatred from others simply for their race. Yeah, of course, if you didn't like Kendrick Lamar there because he's such a talented guy, you're a bigot. And what I've heard from recaps of his performance was, wow, he just mumblefucked his way through his performance. It's like, yeah, no, you don't like him because you hate rap. It's like, well, what was that, the halftime show in 2020 in Los Angeles, where you had Dr. Dre and everybody's favorite rappers from the early 90s to the early 2000s turn out, and it's like it's right up there with Michael Jackson's performance as like the best halftime show is like him, Prince. It's like, oh yeah, cool, you're going to be racist by pointing out that all of the best halftime performances were black, and it's like, oh, interesting. But well, Sunny Hostin, oh my god, who has been and still may be in hot water over comments about, that could be part of a RICO investigation into her husband's over insurance fraud claims. Interesting. While Whoopi Goldberg has seen better days after maligning a small business owner over dubious claims, the latest vile monologue out of Ana Navarro seems to take the cake. Oh, wow. And Navarro's very accustomed to being accused of stealing the sweets. Claims that President Trump, oh shit, I thought that this was like not having anything to do with Trump, was countered the Super Bowl by simply by the existence of people like Samuel L. Jackson. What? Navarro further claims that she relishes criticism of the Super Bowl halftime show as a proof of her that the people making such critiques are prejudiced trolls. Right. Okay. The entire View panel also appears to take the position that one might divide not only prejudiced from the non-prejudiced people based on their Super Bowl halftime show opinions, okay, but also that you could detect their political affiliations solely on the sort of thought process. Yeah, okay, you're the big smart that's out there. I understand. The entire conversation is simply unworthy of national television discourse. No, it's totally worthy of The View, which is totally worthy of mocking. And if that's your big takeaway from the Super Bowl, I mean, your goose is already cooked on that one. Because that's the thing, okay? It's people like this. It's people like this that continue to try to push, celebrities are saying one thing. Oh, look at where all the popular people are going. Oh, if you're not on that bandwagon, you're just dumb and stupid and out of touch. You're probably also a racist as well. But you have to also realize everybody's kind of done kowtowing to your nonsense. Like, this is over, okay? Times are changing, the winds have shifted, whatever anachronism you want to use on this one. It's just, once again, proves, after the seismic cultural shift that we had, everybody's previously privately held opinions became public in November. You think that the other side of this equation would eventually have a moment of self-reflection and perhaps change their ways? That's clearly not going to be the case. They're just simply going to double down, and they might go through a different vector of approach, but they're still going to be putting out their poisonous and vitriolic opinions, proving that they ain't learning a goddamn thing. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.